You ready?
Hey, listen!
Get some.
Yeah.
Hey, listen!
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another exciting episode of Lawrence's Let's Plays. Today I'm bringing to you part 3 of my 5-part series for my epic tier list. Today I'm going to be bringing to you the tier list for the epic defenders. To my returning viewers, thanks so much for your continued support, and if you are new to the channel, thank you as well for stopping by. Nothing really left to say. I'm Lawrence, and let's play. So let's jump on in here and go into the gallery. Defenders is just one slide down. So the defenders that are epic defenders are going to be Baron, Titus, Livian, Olag, Mariel, Avalon, the Lord, Azolde, and Ardeth. So we're going to be going over them today. And to start out with, again, moving up from bottom to top, we're going to talk about, and not too long, but briefly, let's talk about Titus. He is absolutely, and I don't think I'll get much argument out of this, he is the worst defender in the game. Why is he so bad? Well, first off, look at his cost. He has a cost of 31. That is ridiculous. Also, in his talent, he can't be healed. He's unable to be healed by his allies, which really stinks. Physical damage to one enemy is nothing to write home about. He basically, with this ultimate, when he activates this ult, manually activated, enters the annihilation mode, increases attack range and restores 5% HP per second. Attacks up to 3 targets in range every time, dealing 220% damage for 25 seconds. The damage does go up, the skill cost goes down. There's really not a lot to say about this guy. I will say that he does have the ability to survive fatal damage once, so he's not dead, which is pretty cool. So basically, when you look at him, there's not much really to talk about with Titus. He's basically a poor man's Setram. That's pretty much how I list him. Let's go into the tier list. That's basically what I put. I said Setram wannabe, very high cost. I said revive. I don't think it's actually revive. I may have said that wrong. Oh no, I'm sorry. Yeah, it is a revive. Revive with 100% HP restored. So that's kind of cool in niche situations. But in campaign, I'm putting him as a D-. Across the board, Gear Raid 1, Gear Raid 2, Gear Raid 3, Arena, Tide, Void Rift, Faction, Guild Boss. You're just not using this guy. And the cost is definitely a detriment. Like, it would be so hard to even get him out to use him. So overall, he's getting a D-. Now, let's jump back over here. Let's talk about who I believe is just right above him, and that would be Mariel. What's interesting about Mariel is, although she's a defender, when you look into her skills, look into the skills that make up her kit, yeah, she attacks an enemy, but you see her increases her own defense by 30%. Skilled up, that goes up another 20%, so 50% defense increase. But what's really unique about her is she's more of a healer, to be honest. She's like a healer hybrid defender. Not going to do a lot of damage, but she does bring some stuff to the table with the defense-based healing to an ally within her heal range. Also, every 12 seconds, the next attack grants another defense-based healing to one nearby ally, restoring HP equal to 60% of the hero's healing multiplier for them. Not really a whole bunch to say about her. Her cost is very low, which is nice. But she's kind of a weird hybrid, like I said, in the fact that she's kind of a healer defender. If you look at the tier list, I do put her just above Titan. She is a hybrid healer defender, but her A1, I will point out, her Awakening 1 provides an AoE heal, a full heal for your party, which is nice. Campaign, I put her as a C. She's certainly usable. Gear Raid 1, you're just not using her. Gear Raid 2, I'm putting her as a C. Gear Raid 3, no chance. Arena, no chance. Tide, sure, you could use her. Void Rift, she's usable. Faction, she's usable. But a C ranking is just kind of, yeah, you could use them, but there's certainly better options. Guild Boss, you're absolutely not using her. And I gave her an overall ranking of C. So let's jump back over to our list. And the next one I'm going to talk about is Ardeth. Ardeth is a magic damage dealing defender, which is quite cool. Deals 100% damage to one enemy. Damage goes up to an additional 10%. And activates Realm of Curse. Additionally, the hero becomes unable to perform basic attack. I'm not a fan of that. Him just not being able to attack with basic attacks anymore for a certain duration. But his max HP is increased by 50%, and that provides him more survivability. This effect lasts for 8 seconds. I don't believe through skill ups it goes up anymore. No, it does not. But what Realm of Curse does, deals damage equal to 3% of the caster's HP to enemies in range per second. Also, what's nice about him is this passive. When Realm of Curse, his ult is active, manually activated, he inflicts vulnerability magic damage on all enemies during that ult, and restores HP to the hero equal to 10% of the enemy's damage, 10% of the enemy's damage taken from the Realm of Curse. So that's pretty interesting. Target magic damage taken 2%, so you increase the damage that they take. Also, reduce the damage that he takes. So it's pretty restore HP more. I'm sorry of the damage that's taken, but not too bad. I mean, not really a lot to say about him. I think it is pretty unique that his basic attack is magic, and it also is multi-hit. It's not AoE, but you see he hits up to 3 enemies. So that could be quite good in some scenarios. Certainly not a horrible choice, but there's just way better choices, and that's why he's so low on the list. I listed Ardith as an AoE magic damage with vulnerability that he provides during his ultimate campaign. I list him as a B. There's certainly better options than him, but you could use him in a pinch. In Gear Raid 1, I gave him a C+ just because of the magic damage. Again, when you're pushing higher stages, the harder content like your GR1-19, you're absolutely not using this guy at all. But up to that point, he's certainly serviceable. Gear Raid 2, you could use him, but there's better options. Gear Raid 3, you're absolutely not using this guy. Arena, you're not using this guy. Tide, I gave him a C. Void Rift a C. Faction a C. Guild Boss, you're not using him. But I did give him an overall rating of C+. The magic vulnerability really can help you pushing Gear Raid 1 content from beginning up to like 18. He could probably be useful, but beyond that, he just really falls off. Avalyn would be the next one I want to talk about. Avalyn only attacks one enemy. However, what I like about Avalyn is she does deal AoE damage equal to 130% of attack to all block targets. She has a block rating of 3. Her damage increase goes up another 40%. So 170% AoE damage from a defender is certainly not bad. Stun, however, as a CC is actually really kind of weak in this game. If this would have provided a slow instead, that would certainly be much better. You'll see that she has a very low max rage cap to be able to cast this ult, which is automatically activated. You do not manually activate this. So 300, you reduce it at minus 20, so minus 40. So you can actually reduce that down to 260 rage. And what I really like about her is this passive. Tough by nature, this truly makes her a defender. Permanent defense plus 5%. Max skill ups increases that another 20%, so she can get a permanent defense of 25%. Pretty solid with some AoE damage. That's pretty cool during her ult. Just know that she only hits a single target with her basic. Avalyn, I put AoE damage during ult, 25% permanent defensive passive. Campaign B, usable for sure, but certainly better options. Gear Raid 1, you could use her behind the wall for a while for so many stages that she could help you out. Gear Raid 2, kind of the same scenario. Earlier stages of Gear Raid 2, she's usable. Gear Raid 3, sure, again, you could use her because you could put her down on the ground and she can produce some damage in front of you. Arena, she's absolutely not going to be used. Tide, I gave her C. Void Rift, I don't see her really having a place. Faction, I gave her a D as well. Guild Boss, you're not using her. And I gave her a B- overall. Now let's jump on over to our next girl. It seems like, is this predominantly girls? Yeah, I think it's predominantly girls as far as the epics. Nothing wrong with that. So we're going to go to... I forget who the heck was next. I apologize. Livian. So we're going to go into Livian. She's the one that when you summon, it's kind of weird that she actually has her own video. She's one of the rare epics that has her own cinematic, her and Mari being the only two I can think of be sure to leave me a comment if there's someone else I'm missing that's an epic that has their own cinematic. But this is the girl that we know when she kind of shows up, it looks like she's naked, and then whoo, all of a sudden she has armor on her. So what I like about Livian, every 3 attacks launched triggers shield bounce, inflicting stun on targets. Again, be better if it was slow. But the hero does restore 3% HP upon retrieving the shield. And I really like this Elven Blessing during her ultimate, which is automatically activated. Receives the blessing of the elf deity, getting an additional 20% physical damage reduction permanently. Meanwhile, the shield bounce triggered by attack can restore 1% more HP. You'll see the extra physical damage reduction goes up an additional 10%. So that's permanent 30% defense reduction for the battle when she triggers that. That's pretty cool. When Elven Blessing is triggered, the shield ignites and deals 15% AoE damage per second to all surrounding enemies. Additionally, the shield bounce triggered by attack can bounce 1 more time. So she has really great survivability in that increased defense that she provides herself. But the AoE damage is whack. I mean, let's be honest, 15% AoE damage per second. I am confused about this, and please someone tell me in the comments if you have her, you've used her, and you understand the duration of this. Because as you see, it says per second to all surrounding enemies, but there's no duration listed here to show how long she's actually able to perform that AoE, but the damage does go up an additional 2, 4, 6, 10% to 25% additional damage. Block rating of 3, so typical for a defender. We'll see how I got her listed in the tier list. So I've got her listed as permanent physical damage reduction, CC with the stun, again, underpowered versus slow, but still, you know, CC is CC. And she does do the AoE damage, albeit it seems to me like it's a very minute amount. And I'm confused as to the duration, how long it lasts. Campaign, I gave her an A. Certainly someone you could use and push some content early on, but she's going to fall off as you get further along. Gear Raid 1, I gave her a B because self-sustain. If you put her behind the wall, she can self-sustain in, again, earlier stages of Gear Raid 1. As you get higher up, you're absolutely not going to use her. Gear Raid 2 would be the same thing. I give her an A rating in there. And I give her a little bit higher rating here because the enemies aren't so magic resistant like they are in Gear Raid 1. So she might be able to produce a little bit more damage. Gear Raid 3, not really usable, but there's certainly better options. Arena, you're not using her. That's a wasted space. Tide is a C. Void Rift is a C. Faction I do have her as an A. And I have her as an A because Northerner doesn't have a lot of options in terms of who you're going to use other than like Olag. You would definitely use Olag over her. In fact, the more I think about it, that should probably be dropped. If you have Olag, you're absolutely using Olag over here, but I'll still give her an A in that. Certainly usable. Better options though. Guild Boss, you're not using her. I'm giving her an overall rating of an A. That brings us to Isolde. Isolde, who is the epic lord of the Northerner faction. Let's see. Gain 6% defense bonus for every enemy block, stacking up to 5 times. That is quite nice. She does block 3 units. Up to 5 times, as in if you were able to increase her block rate. Like Olag's Wall, I know, increases it another point of block, so she could increase her defense rate off the bat up to 24% when she blocks up to 4 enemies. Triggers slash for every 7 attacks, dealing AoE damage to all blocked enemies. Not sure what the multipliers are on that. Increases block for every ally in range by 1 and applies physical damage reduction and magic damage reduction to them. That's really good during her ultimate called Shield Wall, manually activated. The skill, the initial, or the max rage cap is quite high at 1,000, so we would definitely want to reduce that. You see initial rage goes up 100. Initial rage 100, so then we're at 400, and doesn't look like you reduce the cost, but you do get her initial rage up to 400, so it makes it a little bit easier to get to. But what I like is this physical damage, or the damage reduction, is an additional 20%. So physical is 10%. I believe magic is also 10%. Yeah, so she can actually boost that up to 30% for her allies, which is quite good. Periodically grants a shield equal to 30% of her max HP to herself and her adjacent allies. The shield strength increases by 10% each time her block increases by 1. So again, if you added Olag's wall to give her an extra block, she's going to be able to provide even more of a shield. And of course, you have Spirit of the North 2, her Lord skill, that allows her to increase the attributes of her allies by 10%, but also periodically, depending on how many Northern heroes you have in your team comp, she will produce a shield equal to 20% of their max HP. So quite good in fact. Isolde, I've got her listed as 3rd. AoE damage, physical damage, and magic damage reduction for allies is quite nice. Campaign, absolutely you could use her. S+. She's very solid throughout. Harder stages, you're going to use better options, however. Gear Raid 1, gave her a C. Usable, but better options. Gear Raid 2, because of the ability to provide that random shield to someone like an Olag, I'm giving her an A rating. Gear Raid 3, not really usable, but better options. Arena, you're just not using her. Tide, she's an A. Void Rift, she's a C. Faction, I'll give her an A, and Guild Boss, you're just not using her. So I'm giving her an overall rating of an A+. Now we get to the final two. The final two, and I'm sure this will be controversial. And again, by all means, leave me a comment because I'm curious to see if your list would look similar to mine. In particular, the top two, how would you rate them? So I'm coming in with number 2 as Baron. Baron is a great tank that also deals damage. On his ult, you'll see he casts a shield that absorbs damage equal to 70% of his max HP for 10 seconds. When the shield disappears or gets broken, deals AoE damage 1 time. The damage absorption goes up to 100%. Nasty. Skill cost, you see it goes down to 400. It's on a 10-second duration. And attacks deal extra damage. Upon receiving lethal damage, enters unyielding, stays alive for 4 seconds. When unyielding ends, deals AoE damage equal to 50% of max HP to the nearby enemies. This can be triggered up to 1 time per battle. The effect duration obviously goes up. The AoE damage also goes up. Baron is absolutely solid, no question about it. So don't flame me in the comments and be like, oh my god, I can't believe you. I mean, you know, speak your mind, but I just don't think he's the best defender. He does provide AoE damage, which, as you'll see when I talk about Olag is no damage. Like, he just does not provide damage. But there's a couple things with Olag that I would say pushes him a little bit above Baron, and I'll discuss that. But going in here, he does have a block of 3, that being our boy Baron. Going to my tier list, I got AoE damage, solid defender, unyielding status that allows him 1 time per battle to basically not die, to have, you know, avoid fatal damage and produce that AoE damage. Campaign S+ all day. You can absolutely use this guy. He's a very solid option. Gear Raid 1, I gave him a C. Gear Raid 2, S+, absolutely, for sure. When you need to tank those boulders, he's a great option for that. Gear Raid 3, he's a C. I put him as a C because, much like I did with Avalon, setting him down on the ground, he is going to be able to produce some damage, especially with the AoE when the shield gets broken. Arena, I gave him an A. Usable, but there's better options as far as if you're just trying to hold down a line, or a lane rather. Tide is a C. Void Rift, I gave him an S. Faction, I gave him an A. Guild Boss, you're really just not using him, but overall I'm giving him a solid S ranking. Now, we come to my personal favorite. Again, this is just one guy's opinion. I think Olag is the best epic defender in the game, and I'm going to go over why I believe that is the case. Damage is garbage. Let's just be honest. Unlike Baron, who's actually going to produce some damage, Olag doesn't produce damage. That's not what he's about. But what he is about is this ult, for one thing. Unbreakable, manually activated ult. Stops attacking, shifts to a defensive stance for 25 seconds, increases his own physical damage reduction by 40%, and a block rating by 1. So you'll see his starting block is 3, but during his ult, it goes to 4. Extra physical damage reduction goes up an extra 10%, so now his damage reduction is 50% less damage. Effect duration goes up to 30 seconds. Skill cost, which is quite high for his max rage cap, you can reduce it from 1,000 to 900. Now, also, his auto. every 12 seconds, cast a shield that can absorb damage equal to 50% of max HP. The shield capacity, you'll see, goes up to 85%. Cooldown, -2 seconds. So you can make this every 10 seconds. He is casting a shield that absorbs damage equal to 85% of his max HP, which is just absolutely bonkers. It makes him such a ridiculously solid brick wall of a man. Like, if you want a true defender, you cannot go wrong with Olag. Now, I wanted to point out specifically in his ult how he increases his block by 1. This is one of the reasons why I would take him over Baron, because if you add Olag's wall, if you equip Olag's wall, the artifact specifically named after Olag, you do increase your block by 1. And Baron would be able to increase his block from 3 to 4. However, my man Olag can increase his block from 4 to 5 units. That is so unbelievably impactful, especially in story campaign and harder difficulties, especially when you're dealing with so many ground-based mobs that just try their best to overrun you. To have an additional block on his ult, and also if you have Olag's wall, to enable him to block 5 of those units at once is so unbelievably good. It's just disgusting. Also, if you go into his awakenings, I am going to touch on his awakenings. Increases the strength of shields gained by 10%. Add another 10% to his shields. HP plus 12 is not a real big deal. Physical damage, all damage reductions, that's physical and magical, 5%. And when the ultimate is triggered, grants physical damage reduction of the same duration to adjacent allies. So he's also providing them the physical damage reduction when he pops his ult. It's just disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. He is so unbelievably good. Like I said, if you're looking for a true defender, someone that's just holding down a lane, preventing enemies from getting through your defenses to get to your Nexus Crystal, frustrating you, making you, upset because it's the difference between 3-starring a stage and not 3-starring a stage, Olag is your man. That is my pick. I hope you guys appreciated this tier list. If you found it helpful and informative, as always, do smash the like button, and also consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already to help my channel to continue to grow. Keep it locked right here at Lawrence's Let's Plays for additional Watcher Realms content coming your way very, very soon. In fact, I'll be bringing you the Epic Mages tier list and the Epic Fighters tier list here before too long. It's going to take a little while to put that together because there's a lot of fighters and mages to go over. But I appreciate the hell out of each and every one of you guys for stopping by. This has been Lawrence for Lawrence's Let's Plays, and I am out of here. Take care, everybody. I'll see you for the next one.